How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another stream. Give me a second so I can go ahead and post this link different places or whatever. I kind of wish it was a little easier, but it's not. Keep forgetting I need to kind of pull up a new tab or something. Good. Audio seems to be working fine, so that's good. Just grab that. All right. Oh. Yeah, that'll be fine. I do kind of wish that the thumbnails for I guess we call it X now, on Twitter. I wish the thumbnails on Twitter were, I don't know, just as big as the photos we post, because it being like this small, tiny little square that kind of gets posted kind of sucks. Um, but if you follow me there, thanks, and that's what you'll be seeing when I post a link to a video on YouTube. Unless there's a different way to do it, I just have to learn how to. But that's what I'm using. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. Okay. So, right. So recently, I don't know, there's been some changes or whatever. So, um, I've been also thinking about going into trying out things like storyboarding, which I do some storyboarding here and there when it comes to working on my comic and stuff like that, but I haven't been thinking about it in terms of doing like movies and animation projects. So I've been kind of learning a bit about how that kind of works. It's cool. I just haven't found anything where I'm like where I like love what I'm seeing as far as like portfolios. So I've been trying to like go out my way to like um, try and find a portfolio that I kind of resonate with, I guess. And that's been just really difficult because I just haven't. I just haven't resonated with anything that I've seen. Um, so, I have some storyboard books that I've been using kind of as reference, and you know, they're cool, but they're a little. I guess they're a little outdated. But I resonate more with them, not just because of the subject matter, but just I've grown, I guess, accustomed to seeing storyboards in the older way, I guess, or yeah, it's kind of like an older way of doing storyboards. I have the storyboard book for Akira, both parts of Akira, and yeah, I don't know. That book is amazing. I don't know. Is that not the best storyboard book ever? Am I being biased? I don't know. Um, I've I literally bought the movie box set for what is it called? Tokyo Godfathers. Um, and that was great. And yes, it was worth it. Because it was like I think that was the only way to get the book. So I got that book as well, and it's when I think about it, it's more modern than Akira because Akira is like a lot older, um, but it doesn't. It's not as I guess intricate as some of the shots and camera movements that are in like Akira and things of that nature, but it's still still a really good book. I have that book, and I also have the Fully Cooley storyboard book as well. And all these books are they're great. But I'm also just like, none of these things are updated. All of these things are a bit old, and I don't know how useful they are other than just giving me some good shots and camera movements and things, which I think is very important. Like, I think that stuff is very important. I just don't know how much of that stuff I'd be able to easily carry over to what people are doing now. So, I'm still looking into it. I'm just a little bit like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be like easily translatable. But yeah, I was thinking about doing storyboarding because it seemed interesting enough, and it would only help, I guess, like what I was trying to do skill wise. Um, when I do comics, I can kind of envision my scenes in my head. There's a bit of kind of like being like, okay, here's what I know I can do, and also here's what relatively I can look at a page as the budget to some degree, where I go, okay, how important is this scene, and then I can scale how long that is supposed to take on a through pages, right? So if I have like let's say 20 to 22 pages, let's just say 20, I have like 20 pages to do in a book. If it's a major scene, not just in that comic but in that character's life, I mean, you could technically, reasonably make that scene take just as long as you want to. You can make it as long as you want to if it's an important scene. Um, Definitely if it's very important. If it's not, you could make sure that thing only lasts for one page or less than a page. And that will be fine because you don't want other things that are more important to kind of get shafted. Um, so I can look at it like that, and yeah, I can definitely see like action sequences and stuff like that move in my mind and things of that nature. So I can do that. I think it's harder for me to think about mundane scenes moving in my head. I have a harder time kind of figuring out what I want the camera to be doing, and I know that like in a way, as complex as comics can be, when it comes to just having that consistent format, it kind of feels like, as far as the what am I talking about, the format, as in the frame for the movie or whatever. Um, what is that called? Don't remember what that's called right now. Um, it's like I see it in my head, but I don't know the word. I don't know the terminology for it. But the dang, what is that called? Aspect ratio. The aspect ratio. There we go. The aspect ratio, kind of staying consistent, is different because that's exactly one of the things that makes working on comics different. You can always change the aspect ratio of the frames you're working within. Um, Now having to stay that way, now I can't necessarily creatively have fun with, you know, the storytelling through that. So I have to kind of figure out a different way to do that. Which, of course, there's a many things to play around with when it comes to like lighting and, um, things of that nature, like more imagery based things, but without changing that aspect ratio. It's definitely doable. I just have to think more and see more references. So I'm definitely gonna have to start watching a lot more films because I haven't seen enough films. Honestly, I'm not. I'm one of those people that probably can recall all the films I've ever seen without too much of a problem because I don't usually sit around watching lots of film. But when I watch something, I watch it pretty intensely. I don't just watch it for pure enjoyment. Um, though once I find that it's really enjoyable, I can do that. But usually I'm trying to learn something from watching that thing, and I kind of go into it more with that state of mind, which is, I guess, why I'm not so into watching everything because I don't know, I'm putting too much emphasis on, man, I hope this will be good or not a waste of time or whatever it is. Dang, that feels too far. But yeah, saw this cool image on Pinterest just now and just was like, hold on, this might be fun to draw or interesting to draw. But yeah, back to Akira for a second. I was looking through, and the thing that I guess is shocking to me about Akira is that I've seen a lot of really good, what I assume are really good shots here and there, right? And sure, people are going to probably follow that storyboard. But a lot of times the storyboard can be a little bit rougher and can be missing some elements here and there. Um, Sometimes a animator may add a bit of their flair to the storyboard to kind of make it more theirs or whatever. Maybe um, they'll kind of add more to what that storyboard was supposed to be. So it'll be a different, like, it'll the same thing will happen, but it'll literally have a different shape or a different feel to it, even though it's still following the blueprint of the storyboards. When I'm looking through Katsuhiro Otomo's storyboards for Akira, like everything is there. I mean, like, I feel like I'm literally watching the film while I'm looking through the storyboards. And I was just sitting there like, I don't think there's no disconnect. And I was like, how did you do this? Like, how did you come up with these scenes and sequences? Um, I just, I don't know. I know that people back then probably have a different attention span and focus, and I guess potentially like a level of love for something that's, what is it called? It's not being suffocated by other things. I don't know the words and terminologies right now, but sometimes you can be kind of into something and then just more distractions because there's so many other things to check out and be into. I feel like things were a lot slower back then. Movies were coming out, becoming hits or not, but like there was probably some sort of um, time in between a blockbuster would come out. Hollywood produces movies on a large scale with a large budget, like every single year now. You know, and it's still, some of it's just not good. Um, some of it just isn't good. Um, and I think a lot of it, like visually, looks very similar to something you've already seen if you're going out your way to watch a lot of movies at one time. Um, so I don't know. I think that they had to have a really good amount of focus and really good understanding of what they liked. And I've been definitely going out my way to try and figure out more of things that I enjoy and trying to rewatch them or recheck them out and learn more about what I want to do with a scene, how I want to make it more interesting, what types of ways in which does the character or characters go forward in that scene, like in a sequence, like what do they do next? It's kind of like knowing how the sequence starts and how it ends, regardless of whatever it is. Is it mundane? Is it supposed to be horror? What is the character doing? Do they walk into the scene? Are they already there? Um, do they walk past the camera? Is the camera just stagnant and just shooting one direction? Is the camera trying to follow them? Trying to keep up with them, but they're moving faster than the camera, so the camera has to keep turning and tilting and things. You know, Things like that. Is it a real camera or is it able to go through walls? Just learning about what I want the characters to be doing. Like it feels more tangible to understand, unfortunately for me, how interesting the camera is and the camera movements than it is the character performing. And that's what I feel like I need to see more of. Maybe I need to watch some stage plays. Maybe I need to just watch more movies in general. But I don't have enough, in my mind's eye to imagine, different things like that. Especially if it's specific machinery or something. I've got my own experiences working a mundane job here or there or doing chores around the house or something. Maybe I've seen a show or whatever, or many different shows where they're doing a specific job, um, and I can understand what they're doing. But the moment they start operating machinery or something, I would have to go do some research on how that machine works. Are they using a hand crank, or are they just pressing a button to get the thing to work? Or there's little nuances behind all the technologies and all that type of stuff, and then you factor in the character's emotional state. You factor in how clean or together the environment is that the character is moving in, and also what are they thinking about in terms of the plot or what's happening to them or anything like that. And you have to truly imagine that character in that location operating and putting in their personality and how they move. It's a lot to think about, but I'm trying to kind of incorporate all those ideas into what a character is going to do, why they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, which showcases who they are before you truly even need to know what the plot is. So it should only help the plot by having the extra details. It's definitely not easy. But I feel like the more I try it, the more better I'll get at it. So I'm still checking out these new pencils that I got recently. I still feel like they're pretty cool. I think last stream you guys saw me. I think you guys saw me add these over here. Um, yeah, these are the ones that I like the most from the pack that I got. And I've just been going through, just testing them out with a bunch of like sketches and things. So that's been pretty cool. I'm liking them. Still liking them. That feels absolutely off, honestly. Huh. Oh crap. Well, good part is I can technically move this back a little bit more anyway. trying to sell me on AI. See what's going on YouTube. Oh. How's it going, everyone? We still good? Wow, my voice. Hold up. Let me get something to drink. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for y'all. But yeah, I want to get better. I want to do better when it comes to being able to see imagery kind of move properly in my head. And the only way to really do that is to practice and pay attention at the same time. I don't really think it can be completely rushed. It's definitely something I'm gonna have to trial and error type thing. But I don't mind. So I think it's a pretty cool thing. This image is actually a lot bigger here. So this pencil though that I'm using, or I don't know what it is. It's supposed to be like I assume a charcoal stick or something. It's pretty cool. I'm using a lighter value right now. But it's pretty cool. I'll probably modify it some way, shape, or form later. Right now, it's still doing what it needs to be doing. It's good pressure sensitivity and everything going on. No true complaint here, but I would modify it to do something different. There's this little thing that some of these digital tools do, where if you go back over something, it just gets too dark to me. I guess I would like to not do that as much, but in a way it does feel very organic, so that's why I'm like, I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's doing exactly what it was supposed to be doing, so I think that's pretty good. It's like feels similar to a marker to me. Ever use like alcohol-based markers? It's very similar type of going over something over and over again type approach, which I guess in a way is a little slower working digitally, but I'm kind of cool with it because I don't know, it's kind of what I don't know, this is it's just working well and I know how to use it properly, so doesn't hurt anything to slow down a little bit sometimes. But yeah, I'm always looking for a really nice digital pencil. still just really excited that my hand and everything is working a lot freaking better. Like I'm over here doing these big swoops, and I'm like, finally, I could do this again, and it actually go the direction that I'm trying to get it to go. It's so nice. It's like you don't really realize when you, I guess, do a certain technique so much, and then it's just like, actually, yeah, that was something you did a lot. Now it's just like, oh, you can't do that anymore. That's not in the playbook. You gotta do a different type of motion. It's like, what do you mean? I like this picture I ran into. It's pretty dope. I don't know if I'll be able to, I don't know, get it to really, I was about to say sing, but, and get it to really work out, like how I'm looking at it or whatever, but it's pretty darn cool. It's interesting. I think I've always wanted to be like decent at drawing clothes, but it was always like an afterthought. Like, oh yeah, clothes. Um, I kind of want to be better at that. But then I'm also just like, I don't think I want to be like perfectly accurate at like drawing, I don't know, almost anything. I kind of want to get it to a point where it's like a really good shape or outline. It's got really good it's got a really good like anatomy, if you will, but the anatomy isn't like detailed. It's not like rendered per se. So I want really good shapes, really good composition. But once I get around that mark, I kind of want to start like leaving. I want a combination of like shape language, um, structure, and gesture, but not rendering like that. That's what I want. I think that'd be pretty cool. Um, will I remember me saying that later? Probably not, but y'all will know what I had said if you guys are watching the live. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I want for most of the drawings, even with buildings and things of that nature. I think it'd just be more interesting. Just be more interesting to see. Okay, so now that this is here, before I finish, well, I could just go around and just add the shadows in there, but yeah. I'm also glad that I changed the settings on what was my tablet and also my application, where I found a way to not have to press so hard. I mean, the arm injury, the hand injury was enough, but even before that, I changed that, thank goodness. But it makes it more, I guess, pressure sensitive. where you just press a bit and it gets that you want to make the darker mark or some sort of change be paid attention to, so that it can, you know, change the mark a little bit for you. But also, I don't know, it just saves you time, saves you effort. So it's definitely a good reason to do that. It's funny though, like, not everything is about saving time though, you know? Like, sometimes there is some art that you might want to do, or some work you might want to do where you want it to take more time and you want to spend more time on it. It means more to you, or I don't know, you want to pass the time and still use skill or whatever and gain something out of that. Unless you have something else to do, something else to put time and effort into. Oh. Oh, yeah, it is on that. Okay. Wow, I haven't seen it do that in a while. So that happens usually. I don't know if you guys can see my screen. It's like kind of like loading or catching up to me or whatever. That doesn't usually happen. Well, it hasn't happened to me since I upgraded my tablet or whatever. But it usually does that when I have a giant brush that I'm working with or something. I guess it's doing this now because I put down a lot of strokes that probably has, you know, all this information on it. Hopefully it doesn't crash. That would suck. I haven't seen this thing crash at all yet, so that'd be something. While we're waiting, I'll put my pencil down and let it charge, even though it shouldn't need too much. And let's look over here. Still doing it. Okay. Wow. Yeah, this joint might actually crash. I don't know. Oh, it didn't crash. All right, all right, all right. Cool. You know what we gonna do? We gonna save it. We gonna do it right again. We gonna do it again. I think there was. I gotta find the reference again. There we go. So there's a lot of darkness on this side here. But yeah, I was down there and trying to fill in that space there. So, I don't remember what I was talking about. That's okay. What other storyboard books do I have? Again, I mentioned the Akira joints. I mentioned Tokyo Godfathers. Um, I mentioned the Fully Cooley ones as well. I don't have any Ghibli. I don't have any Ghibli storyboards. Um, at all. The only thing I have from Miyazaki is the Princess Mononoke comic or manga, which is also really good. It's not technically a substitute for like storyboards. They're just completely different when you have to, incorporate ideas for how scenes should work from a comic into an actual storyboard. I mean, it's also different in terms of just effort being put into things like spectacle. Even in, American comics are even a big, like, a thing to this, where you look at an American comic, and even though it's supposed to be an action oriented comic or superhero stuff is supposed to happen, sometimes they're spending time on just that character being a regular person or doing mundane things and not in their costume, not saving people and all that good stuff. So even there, they kind of don't stay doing. They don't just have one thing that they're trying to expand and experience around. Whereas though you go into a Miyazaki film and there's so many different types of shots, like you'd be like, okay, we'll walk into the shot and there's a character standing on the hill and the wind is blowing and we're gonna hold on this shot for a certain amount of time, and all these things have these extra frames and they last a certain amount of moments. And again, so I think looking at these types of films is going to do a world of good. Definitely if I actually find stuff that I like and want to jot down notes about or something like that, that's another good thing. I have a bunch of films that are my favorites that I can recall here and there. Definitely my favorite ones. I like, I don't know, most of that film for the most part. But then as I go away from my favorite films and stuff like that, I don't remember as much. One of my favorite films is like Metropolis. The anime one. Has some interesting film techniques in there. With I guess it's like layering an image over top of an image, things like juxtaposition, things of that nature. But there are a lot of different cool little techniques and stuff like that in that film. I like the way violence is kind of shown in that film as well. It's kind of different. It's kind of like, I guess it's a little hyper with the way they, the first scene where I think his name was Rock. Rock, took out one of the robots or whatever. The way that scene is kind of done is very, I don't know what the word is. It feels like artsy aggressive. I don't know. It's not a word. It's not a phrase. But like, it feels artsy aggressive. It's not slow mo. It's kind of like it's the opposite. It's, you see a guy with using a tool or whatever, and they're using it, and the lighting goes crazy, and the close up of that object being used going crazy, and then you have the effects, and then you have the guy's facial expression, the close up. It's pretty well done, but also the backgrounds look great. The character acting and things of that nature is also pretty good. The physics in some of the scenes is really good as well. I also like the scene. Just trying to thinking of the film. I also like the scene where I think one of the characters goes to a place where there's a radio. I mean, a phone. I think it was a phone. And they tried to use I guess, the technology inside the phone to essentially do some sort of GPS tracking back to wherever they called. That was really cool because when I went and watched this other film called Scanners, there was a scene similar to that, and I said, "Oh, that's where they probably got that from in Metropolis. They probably was inspired by that scene in Scanners, and then they was like, I'm going to do this in animation now, and the way we want to do it." And I just think that's really cool. But then, recently I had that thought, like when I watched Scanners, that was, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. It was a while ago. Then I thought recently, like, you know what? How did they do this? How do they think like this? They don't have the type of technology we have when it comes to recording information or storing materials. Like back then, they didn't have like even like DVDs. They had like VHS. And this is when I was a kid. I'm assuming, like they probably had less than that. So I'm like, how the heck? I'm assuming they had at least VHS, right? If they had VHS, how are they storing these scenes in their head? Where were they storing these scenes? I learned that there was some sort of technology they used to have back in the day, where they used to be able to take a VHS or some type of way they'd be able to get an image off the screen and then print it out onto paper as a little still. And I'm just like, that's amazing. The amount of work that probably took was not probably cheap or easy. And yeah, I'm just wondering, how the heck did they like remember these scenes to be able to do them in these specific locations where they actually make sense in that part? It's just really cool. Definitely think it's really cool. I had no idea. Like again, I can do fight scene stuff. I can do fight scene stuff. That's like I, I it's weird. It's like I don't want to say that's my bread and butter because I'm always working. I don't know. I want to be better, so I'm always working away from it. I'm always like, okay, cool. You know how to do like fight scenes, but like, what about everything else? So I like not force myself, but sure, I try to focus in on other things. Like, okay, we're gonna work on doing, I don't know, something that's not necessarily action or fight scenes and things. We're going to work on um, character expressions, or we're going to, work on scenes where two characters are just talking or doing something, running, hanging up clothes, something like that. Because I don't want to just only be able to do fight scenes. Um, I want to be able to make. I mean, the goal would just be to make an enjoyable character, regardless. And if you're lucky, I guess you could work towards potentially getting a character to be loved by someone who's watching them on screen. Um, if you could do that multiple times, that'd be amazing, right? You have people who actually love the character. Um, sure that there's a recipe or something that can go into it, but it's not easy to do. I know it's not. It's not a bajillion characters I love. A bunch of people don't necessarily love every character from every franchise that they like. They might like the character, you know, they don't love the character. So again, the best you can get is just try and make a good character, and make them likable or enjoyable, whatever that is. Once you get that going and you understand that more, you can do that more often. It's okay, cool. Now the fight scene might mean something, in my opinion. I always think to myself, a fight scene is good, and sure, the choreography could be good, but if the person looking at the story doesn't actually care about the character, or they don't actually care about the situation the character is in, what's the point? How good is the fight scene now? You know? Um, I feel like the reason why you have versus battles, why they can work so well is because the people who are clicking on it, they're not just going like, I want to see a good fight scene. They also care enough about that character to click into a fight scene that those characters are in. You know, they care just enough, you know, to be interested in the characters. But you know what would be cooler? If that fight scene was actually canon to the event. Like it was, you know, it's not like just a fan made thing, like, you know, and it was like in that character's story, and that story meant something. So that means that maybe, you know, a character getting hurt here is going to affect them for the rest of the story, or, you know, whether or not it is physical, emotional, whatever it is. And we care about the character. What if we cared about both of the characters? What if watching them fight hurts? You know, like what if watching them have a fight sucks because they're both wrong and right at the same time? They just both can't see eye to eye. And the sad and cruel part of it would be that you, as the reader, knows both sides of the story, but they can't. And the time has passed where even if they tried to explain it to each other, they wouldn't. In this moment right now, they wouldn't give themselves the time of the day to have that explained to them. So instead, we're watching the two characters we like kind of rip each other apart, and it's a horrible car crash. But we watch because we know the story means something, and whatever happens next is, you know, it actually means something going forward from this moment too. Which means to me, it doesn't have to be a great choreography in the story. It can be less amazing choreography because of the character build up, because of the moment we've built into, and we're just sitting there like, sure, this isn't the Raid 2 or Drunken Master or Jet Li anything or Bruce Lee, you know, name your favorite guys in martial arts films and things of that nature, and your favorite fight scenes, and you know, Michelle Yeoh, ZDN, you know, it's like, okay, like, it's not one of those, but it's still done well, and you're emotionally invested in the characters and the plot, and because of that, it doesn't need the craziest choreography, because every blow actually hurts. Every punch, every kick, everything that lands, it's gonna actually hit you because you're that much more invested than you would have been if the story didn't mean anything, if the characters didn't mean anything to you. All you're gonna judge it by is how cool you think the choreography is, and that can easily happen, you know, when you have something that's just about the choreography. When you have it just about the choreography, then it kind of becomes like, well, I'm only here for the choreography. So the moment you see something where you're like, I've seen better choreography, then you're like, well, this isn't really that good. So I've seen so many other things. I mean, it's good on a technical level, but that's the only way I can judge it, right? Because once we start easily pulling the curtain back, because we weren't emotionally invested in characters, if the story doesn't make us still invest in the characters later, we go into that scene and you go, how was it? Did you like it? Did you like the movie or whatever? And we sitting there like, it was cool. Like, I thought the choreography was okay. What, you didn't think it was the best thing you ever seen? No. I wonder why. I don't know. Kind of probably because even the best things I've ever seen had me emotionally invested in what was going to happen next with the characters. And it just so happened that the choreography was also really good. And a lot of people think, well, we can get away with just doing really good choreography. And sure, to general audiences, you can get away with just on that. But I'm not going to ever probably put that thing over stuff that I actually was really invested in, even if that thing had better choreography. Because those hits are not ever going to land as hard as a character that I care about. like this brush. And I don't know, turning it that way, making that like cross shaped pattern, kind of reminds me of if you guys ever went to like about to take y'all back for real. You ever went to the school, not the computer lab, but the principal's office or whatever? No, it wasn't there. There was a place, near the principal's office that usually had the printer, the one with the toner, the really big printer, if you ever printed anything on it, it would kind of have this sort of effect to some of the things that would come out of that printer when I guess toner was low. But yeah, it's kind of funny. All right, and it's more okay. It's a little darker in the back as well. Oh, weird. I still like the other one better. I know it's not really losing much. But okay. Alright. Check in. Yeah. Where are we at? Oh, this is the wrong page. Oh, there we go. Alright. I think this is where I'm gonna close it off. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming through the stream. I will be back tomorrow for another good old hour chat and sketch and chat. Be sure to come by. If you guys haven't already, be sure to like the video and subscribe and all that good stuff. I appreciate it. What was I gonna say? Yeah, for the most part, that'll be the main thing. Gonna be doing some more sketching tomorrow. Still trying to go through and figure out these pencils and things of that nature. Sketching with them and testing them out. Funny thing is, I have my own little. I'm gonna talk a little bit. I have my own little blend tool, so I didn't use or download any of the blend tools that are in the pack. Because I was thinking, nah, it's a blend tool. I don't really need a blend tool. I just want to see what the pencils and mark making tools do on their own. And then if I want to blend from there, I will. I don't blend very often. Even on the pictures that you've seen me color or do shading and things of that nature, I don't blend very often. I kind of want the tool to kind of be able to blend on its own for the most part. And subtle is fine. Long as I can control some form of that with some sort of pressure or overlapping or combination of both of those. But if it can't do that well, I probably wouldn't use it anyway. But again, these are the ones that I liked. And I'm still liking it, so I don't think I need to go and get a blend tool, and I already have my own. But yeah, see you guys tomorrow at around 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending on when I can get to my desk. And I'm gonna keep sketching and drawing and figuring some things out. Got some things to sketch out with you guys soon. I'll tell you guys about that tomorrow. Peace, everyone.